What's up everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been quite a while since I've posted anything. I've been really busy just focusing on different projects like my black and white San Francisco photo book that I should have maybe done a video of and kind of gone through the process from start to finish. But unfortunately I didn't do that. I was just so kind of in this world of just focus. But this new project that I'm going to be working on is going to be filmed from start to finish, and I will be releasing and talking more about my black and white San Francisco photo book a little bit later in a different video, obviously. But I wanted to review today an external light meter called the Lightmate 2, and I had purchased this for my next project as an external spot meter, and I think this might have been one of the worst things that I've purchased, and I'm really happy that I'm in that return place where I can send this back and get a refund. So we're going to be reviewing this from start to finish, going over the good and the bad, and determining why I don't think it's the best light meter for film photography. Before we get started, I do want to introduce myself for those of you that are new to the channel. My name is Eric. I'm a professional photographer based out of San Francisco, and I love shooting film, reviewing film, and doing all these other types of things. And if you're into that, I would really appreciate your support by subscribing to this channel. So you're probably wondering, why did I decide to buy a external light meter for my Pentax K1000? And that is because the Pentax K1000 light meter doesn't work anymore, and I've been using my Sekonic light meter for the last few months. And this has been kind of a hassle to carry around, having to take out of my pocket, and essentially just trying to meter situations that are a little bit more tricky. So I was looking for something that had less of a footprint, that can easily go on my camera, and I don't have to worry about potentially losing this or misplacing it. So I ended up getting the Lightmate 2, which I thought was going to be a pretty decent competitor with some of the other ones on the market, such as the TT Artistan that's listed at around $61 and the Voigtlander external spot meter that is listed at around $200. This one right here, the Lightmate, costs right in the middle at around $85 US, which is fairly expensive for a light meter, and you would expect that it would work really, really well. On paper, this light meter or this spot meter is fantastic. It has a steel body, a clear LCD screen. It also has the ability to switch between aperture and shutter priority mode, and it even has really unique features where if you put an ND filter in front of your camera, you can easily make adjustments in the light meter for it to compensate for that specific ND filter so you get the correct exposures. The way that this light meter works is fairly simple. All you really have to do is turn it on, and then by clicking the dial here, you can select between aperture priority mode or shutter priority mode. And then if you hold this center dial down, you can select whatever ISO you're shooting. And it's supposed to give you fairly accurate readings. It's supposed to have a 10-hour battery life, and it just has so many cool jam-packed features that you would think would make this a pretty decent light meter until it really isn't. So I took this out the last 2 days trying to figure out if maybe it was a user error or maybe I was doing something wrong. And I even went through their entire owner manual, which isn't translated very well. It's kind of a struggle, honestly, and it's more of a headache to read, and it leaves you with more questions than it does answers. So let me describe what was going on when I was taking this out. So what ended up happening was I ended up coming across this really cool scene that's down the street from where I live, where there's this abandoned bus that has some graffiti on it. And what I ended up doing with the light meter is that I wanted to shoot my camera at f11 just to make sure the entire image was in focus and that it was sharp. And the moment that I clicked the red button on the back to get an exposure, it gave me a very strange shutter readout that doesn't translate well into a film system like the one that I have now. It was giving me 1/200th of a second, which obviously is not on a film camera. You can choose between 250 and 500 shutter speed, but you don't have that 200 in your dial at all. So I decided to take a step back, and I decided to activate the shutter priority mode, and I put it at the shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, and then it gave me a very strange aperture of 12. Which was very strange. So I came back home, read the manual, and then decided to give it a second chance. You can switch between different formats of film, like full, half. It even gives you options for shooting with a crop sensor, like a digital camera, and then it breaks it down to medium format films and then large format films. So I decided to switch it up and shoot it in the 645 option, and that also gave me some strange shutter speeds and f-stops that are just not translatable into any film system that I know. So I ended up trying this with my digital camera and it worked a lot better, but it's strange because this is listed as a film camera light meter, which obviously is not correct at all. And we're only scratching the surface of issues that I came across with this light meter, and the second ones are actually pretty strange as well. When it comes out of the box, it does come in a different language, which is completely fine, I get that, and you do have the option of switching the language to your preferred language. But the moment that the device powers off, the settings erase. So you will have to literally change the language every single time the camera powers off. On top of that, there is a red button on the back here that easily falls off, which is a huge mystery as to why they did this. I'm not sure, but when I was out, I actually did drop the little button and it took me around 10 minutes to find, and it was just really, really frustrating. And then you're probably thinking, well, maybe you can use the dial on the back to kind of change the shutter speeds and f-stops, and you can do that, but you'll find so many situations where you find a shutter speed that's on your camera, but an f-stop that doesn't exist, or an f-stop that does exist and a shutter speed that doesn't. So it's an ongoing battle of trying to figure out what type of shutter speed and f-stop you're supposed to use. And that can be really frustrating, especially when you're out trying to figure out what exposures to get. You don't want to be left with more questions than you have answers. So on this actual manual, there's like conversion charts, and at this point in time, I realized that I don't want to be out in the world sitting down with a pen and paper doing conversions to try to figure out what would be the correct exposure. That's just unrealistic, especially if you're doing street photography or if you're consistently moving. This also has the option of doing something known as a continuous light metering, which gives you, again, really ridiculous light meterings that you can't translate onto your camera. And this leads me to the last one, which is the LCD screen on the top. The moment that this little device hits the sunlight, the numbers on the top disappear. So you're kind of left having to essentially cover the top, trying to figure out, you know, how this is going to work. And if you have it on continuous metering, the moment you put your hand over it, the light meter catches your hand, and then it starts throwing off the numbers, and it just becomes a huge frustrating mess. Now, I'm really, really happy that I'm still in the return window, because if I would have kept this product, I would have been really, really upset. And it's really pushed me to more than likely just buy the Voigtlander and just spend the $200, because it's going to give me a reading of a light meter that I can actually use and essentially implement the new project that I want to shoot out soon. I really wish the Lightmate individuals that created it have some kind of software update in the future that is specifically designed to work with film cameras and do the conversions within the meter. Paying almost $100 for a light meter that doesn't do that is just really disappointing, and it's very deceiving. So I'm happy that I'm gonna be able to return it. If you have the Lightmate too, let me know if you've had this issue too. Maybe I did something wrong, maybe I'm not doing something correctly, but after reading this owner manual, I can guarantee you I can figure out how to get this to work properly, and if it even is designed for film cameras, and if I just got kind of catfished on Amazon trying to do this. It definitely has shown me a lesson to kind of veer away from some of these brands that are on there that are unknown, especially when they have very good reviews. After looking at the reviews of the product, I noticed that a lot of them were free. They got the product for free, so I feel like they were obligated to kind of give a good review so they can continue getting products, which was something that I should have been more wary of. Anyways, I'm gonna be returning this today. I hope that everyone has a great day, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel, and I hope that people can avoid making the same mistake I did. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.